Hello everyone, welcome to a very special Guru Purnima reading. So it's a full moon today, and this full moon is known as Guru Purnima in the Hindu calendar, and it's a day of paying our respects to the ultimate guru, and also for those of us who really are seekers and want the ultimate, it's a great time to really call in and manifest a teacher of the highest order. I am blessed enough to have a guru myself, so I have an enlightened Sadhguru. His name is Sadhguru, and today, if you check out the description box below, I've got some really awesome free apps and links and stuff to some stuff that will be happening today. And also the app is for something that I've only recently discovered myself, and it's amazing. I can't get enough of it. It's for some Isha Chants. So these are some really powerful, energized, they're consecrated, so they are pretty much, if you have the ability to perceive them, these chants are alive, and they're absolutely fantastic for raising your vibration. If you just want to play them and meditate, it's a great thing to do. And also they're fantastic for clearing the energy around you and raising your vibration as well. The app actually has full details on how to use it to the best ability, to its best capacity. But I'll leave that for you. I mean, what are you waiting for? It's free. It's amazing. Download it now. You can get it on the App Store and on Android Marketplace as well. So without further ado, let's go on with this reading, because it's again another divine masculine reading. I wanted to actually do, in my mind I had it to do a divine feminine reading today, but just impromptu it was like, no, do a divine masculine one. That's what people need to hear. And let me tell you, it's quite something. So those of you that aren't familiar, if you're new, welcome, by the way, and if you're regulars, great to have you. Loads of love as always. This is the Queen of Heaven spread, and I've done some clarifiers as well. So this is the the past, present, future for the divine masculine. It's all quite recent, it's all kind of happening as well. Time is complicated. This is an advice card. This is how they feel towards the divine feminine. This is what they want to say. This is their challenge. This is what they've been doing well. And then these are the underlying energies of the main deck here and the clarifiers here. It's an amazing reading. So without further ado, we will, in the background you can hear some Isha Chants as well, by the way. This is a special one for the moon and Lord Shiva. Anyway, divine masculine, where they have been recently, we've got the moon in reverse. This is very much about, obviously, very fitting for a new moon. It's also to do with things coming to light. Lots of things that they were repressing have come to light recently. And it's not a negative card. It's very uneasy. For them, they literally feel like their world has been turned upside down. But it's almost like I'm seeing stuff that they've shoved down into the bottom of a box. Literally, that box has just been turned upside down and everything's just tipping out. And it's almost like a clear out. It's very much that energy of a clear out, of a purge, of a real emotional and mental and energetic and karmic purge. I'm being drawn to the actual image of the moon being a circle. And also all this stuff here, it's like the divine masculine is being slightly overwhelmed by that. He's having to deal with these slightly monstrous creatures. I mean, I love all animals and whatnot, but they look to me, the vibe that I'm getting of them for this particular reading, this particular card in this particular placement, they seem scary, they seem hostile, or seemingly hostile. They're not deep down, but that's their nature. It's like they're there looking scary, but they have to be accepted, integrated, assimilated, etc. But it's not going to be easy. It's hard to digest. Next up, where they are right now, we've got the Five of Pentacles in reverse, and we've got the Hanged Man in reverse. Sorry, humming along to my chants. This is actually really good stuff. What it's got to do with is Neptune. We've got 6 planets, I believe, in retrograde at the moment. One of those planets is Neptune. And what that's got to do with is intuition versus reality versus illusion, basically. So intuition, reality versus illusion. And because the Hanged Man is in reverse, this is just a symbol of Neptune, because this card is also related to Pisces, and Pisces is obviously ruled by Neptune. So the Divine Masculine, he's basically getting to grips with his illusions right now. What was an illusion? He had many illusions about his priorities, his values, what was important in his life, what was truly in his heart. Mainly it's what's truly in his heart. And you know, he is actually, even though this card is in reverse, the Hanged Man, this is just to represent that this is the stuff that's going to happen during the retrograde period. So we'll put him down. But basically, the Divine Masculine is seeing things from a different perspective, especially with this other Pisces card. He is seeing things in, and it's the moon in reverse. Things are coming to light. He is seeing things from a different perspective. And it's just about, he might not want to, but he's being forced to confront these things right now. And the good thing is, all of this sense of being cast out is going to leave. This is always a card of kind of codependency for me, and also loneliness, of isolation. Even though there are two people here, what's actually happening is the Divine Masculine, during this Neptune retrograde period, he's going to see what's really in his heart. And he's also going to see that he doesn't need that codependency. He's also going to see that he's never really alone, so he doesn't need to feel so codependent. That's where it's going to come from. His own inner light he's gonna find the light within. He's gonna find the light within, and that's gonna, it's funny, all these things are reversed right now, so it's almost like it's bubbling under. A lot of it is going to really come to head in this retrograde period with the Neptune retrograde, and I believe Saturn's also in retrograde. That's a very karmic planet. Also maybe Jupiter, definitely Mercury, and I you know, I'm not an astrologer, so I can't talk about all of them, but the Neptune is the big message that's coming through in this particular reading, and also obviously the full moon. So we have had so many Tao moments, and it's just Tao moment after Tao moment after Tao moment for the Divine Masculine, and that's what they've got coming up, and they're pretty much going through it right now as well. It is going to get worse. It's going to, well, I should say worse. It's going to get more intense for them. There's no sign of the Tower letting up at the moment, because there's a lot to go through. And any kind of resistance that some of these Divine Masculines might be trying to put up, it's completely futile, because justice will prevail. Justice will win. And what's going to happen is everything that was inauthentic in the past is just going to be swept aside, is going to be cast aside, and it's going to make way for justice, for what is right. It's going to make way for balance. In fact, all of this is just one huge rebalancing. This is the great tipping of the scales in the opposite direction, and then everything will come into balance. All of this stuff coming to light, Neptune retrograde causing the Divine Masculine to really examine what's real, what was his imagination. You know, what's reality versus imagination. That's going to cause a lot of imbalance, and finding the balance is going to be through this Tower moment. And also with Neptune retrograde, a lot of it is to do with intuition and getting in touch with your intuition, and the Divine Masculine listening to himself, listening to his heart, listening to his inner knowing. Neptune's also a very spiritual planet. The Divine Masculine getting in touch with his spirituality, and that's very, very much reflected in the advice card for him. That is what's going to cause all of the sense of loneliness, of isolation, of lack, of being cast out, of not being good enough, of being bad, of being guilty, of being codependent essentially, and powerless, and needing some person and giving away their power and being exploited, being manipulated, and not listening to themselves. It all comes from not listening to themselves and finding out their truth. That's what's gonna, those tendencies are what's gonna leave, and the Divine Masculine will come into balance. Justice will be done. The Justice card is also a very, very wise card. The advice card is the Judgment card, and quite simply, this advice to the Divine Masculine is just to listen to the call of the Divine, because that's what's happening right now, and it's to go with the flow. It's to rise up, meet the challenge, and it's to accept your awakening with open arms, because that is what is happening right now. It's the time for the Divine Masculine's great awakening. That's what all these cards are. This is just completely, this side of the reading is just completely about the Divine Masculine finally awakening. So where is he? What does he want to... Well, actually, let's go with how does he feel towards the Divine Feminine at the moment. And we've got one card that came out for the main thing, which is the Princess of Swords. This is the card of the equivalent of the Page of Swords. Yeah, it's about, for a lot of people, it's about spying. It's also a card of strategy, in the sense it's a card of learning. It's, the Divine Masculine is kind of sitting there thinking, planning what he wants to do, and it's almost like reconnaissance. It's almost like he's sitting there, the spying, the learning about, he's trying to figure out what to do. He's trying to figure out what the Divine Feminine's doing and what he can do to communicate. He wants to communicate. This is a card of communication. There's a lot of thought with these birds flying around that she's looking at, and it's all the different options and things that he's basically studying. He's looking for an omen, he's looking for an opening, he's looking for an avenue to kind of connect. And many of you will actually be getting communication during this Mercury retrograde, because we've got the Lovers here as well, which I got in a previous reading that I did with another deck. If you haven't checked out the last 3 readings that I did, please do look at them. They're really, really important. So that's why it must be a really, really important time, because I'm being called to sort of, do quite a lot of readings, and I haven't done them for quite a while. And they're all really, really, the messages are just screaming out at me. Anyway, so to clarify the Princess of Swords, how does he feel towards the Divine Feminine? We've got the Six of Swords, we've got the Ace of Cups, and we've got the World. And this is just saying he's moving away from his previous way of being. He's moving, the boat is moving towards the right, and in my readings, whenever that happens, that's the Divine Masculine moving towards the Divine Feminine. He's kind of seeing that you're always with him anyway. His cup is very much overflowing, and there's a sense of peace here with this dove. And again, that's a reflection of the birds. This is all, it's almost like he is the birds. He's seeing things from a meta perspective as well. He's kind of looking down on the Princess of Swords, which is the Divine Feminine, and he's figuring out what to do. And he's very much in his emotions. He's completely and utterly in his emotions. His inner light is shining through, and it's also, this lotus is very symbolic of, the lotus is in yoga and Hinduism and stuff. It's a very potent and powerful symbol of enlightenment, and that enlightenment is a beautiful fragrant flower that grows from the stinking smelly mud and dirt, and that's very symbolic of this kind of rebirth from this tower moment. It's the justice, it's the beauty, it's the rising up of all that is good and all that should be. Justice is very much about what is, righteousness, dharma, which there's no real kind of, translation for the word dharma, but it's what you're meant to do. It's kind of it's kind of like in the rules. It's righteousness. It's very complex, but it's all good basically. It's the divine way of being, and it's exactly right for this particular time. So it's nothing to do with any dogma. It's just what's right for this moment, and it's very aligned with the divine, shall we just say. And that's where the Divine Masculine is right now, especially in his heart. And it's the end of an era. It's the start of something completely and utterly new. This is very much to do with, on a very, very elemental level, it's a new, strong foundation. It's a new beginning. The Saturn retrograde is really going to help this as well. It's all of the karma that needs to be closed out, especially people who are in relationships that no longer work, in work situations, Divine Masculines that no longer work, in family situations where the relationships are not working. These are going to be cut off and moved away from once and for all, so that the love can really, really shine through, and a new beginning can happen and they can finally be joyful and happy and peaceful. And that's what I'm getting from this. It's so much joy, happiness, and beauty, togetherness. It's true love, pure love. It's all the good stuff. What's the divine masculine doing at the moment? What does he want to say to the divine feminine? We've got the 8 of Pentacles. He's working extremely hard, and he's working for a new beginning with this Ace of Rods. He really, really, really wants that. He's working on himself. He's really, really, really getting everything ready so that he can take control and he can manifest this, because he wants to. This is a card of strengthening. It's very much about preparation, of getting, of really kind of getting psyched up to do something and preparing and planning. There's a lot of that I get towards the divine feminine. So he's working on himself because he's got a lot to get through at the moment, and he's going to be perfect when he comes back, in the sense he wants to, at least, he wants to be perfect when he comes back. He's now willing to do the work. Where he was shying away from doing things before, not anymore. He's going at it full throttle, and this is that new beginning. This is the what's different right now. This is what's being born from this time, and he is strengthening. He's preparing. He's gathering all that he needs. He's transforming himself into something that he feels is worthy, because that's what's starting to happen now with this illumination that's happening, with this call to judgment, with this ending of all these karmic cycles and all of these useless things from the past. They're just going. They're not needed anymore, because he is renewed. He is essentially a new person, and that's what he's building right now. Whoops. Challenges. We've got the 3 of Wands in reverse, clarified by the 3 of Swords and the Chariot. So the challenge for him is he's feeling really, really impatient. He's feeling impatient, and he was feeling overwhelmed by what was approaching him. What was approaching him was this kind of armada of ships, and he thought that it was something that he couldn't handle, basically. So that was a challenge for him, because he was completely and utterly heartbroken without the divine feminine. He was also really, really, he didn't think that he was up to the challenge. If it was upright, he would have been like, yeah, bring it. It's reversed, and he was like, no, I can't deal with this. It's the card of running away and not standing his ground, because he was completely heartbroken, and he couldn't move forward. He wasn't in his kind of this regal kind. This is like a general or something. He was not feeling that. He was not feeling like he could move forward strongly. He wasn't feeling like he had any kind of strength or intuition. And I'm almost seeing like a compass. He didn't know where he was, what he was doing, or what to do. He had no direction. Those were the challenges. But these are the things that are being alleviated right now. What did he do well? How do we know that? We've got the Fool in reverse. This is, weirdly enough, what I'm getting from this card is no more false starts. This time it's going to be for good, because it's clarified by the Queen of Cups. He's getting in touch with his inner wisdom. So this is no more foolishness, actually. It's not that there's no new start. There's no more foolishness. And usually I love I love animals and stuff, and I love the fact that there's a little loyal dog here. That's not what is coming from this card. I read intuitively, so things are different every reading. This is like an annoyance. This is like a really annoying little yapping add-on, hanger-on in the divine masculine's life. I do feel like it's the karmic partner. It's all these things that he's going to move away from. He's going to extricate himself from these situations, from these people, from these relationships. It could be jobs, it could be family, it could be a romantic partner, but all of those clingy, niggling, irritating people that are trying to get a piece of him and trying to be really needy and trying to, just be really annoying and posing as loyal and all the rest of it. No, he's not having any of it. He's going to just free himself by jumping off this ledge into the unknown and soaring high above everything and looking down at his divine feminine and you know, plotting his next move, because he's getting in touch with his feminine side. He's getting in touch with his emotions. He's getting in touch with the divine feminine within him, and he's connecting to the divine feminine inside as well. And just look how wise she's looking. I'm also getting from this, because she's looking backwards, this is very much, he's going to connect with the energy of the divine feminine who's looking at him. So the message that I'm just channeling right now is, the more you can look back at him, see how compassionate she is, see how patient, compassionate and calm she looks. And you know, she's got her cup of love and it's empty, because she's sitting there and she's waiting to accept his love. The more that the divine feminine can be like this, the more it will be supportive for the divine masculine. So underlying energies in the main deck that I used, we've got the Seven of Swords. Now, don't worry about this. This is a card of deception, but it's very much about deception leaving. Even though it came up upright, I was like, why am I getting such a strong sense of it's actually deception leaving? You know, this guy, again, he's a masculine character and he's moving off this way, and it's kind of like very much deception is leaving. And I that's when I decided to use my clarifiers, and at the bottom of the deck was the Lovers. But another card that wanted to show itself when I was moving the deck was the Tower, so I left that out as well, because the Tower wanted to be seen in both decks, because it's all about the Tower moment right now. It's very much the underlying energy. It's going to be it's going to stay. There's going to be aftershocks from this earthquake that the Tower is kind of that is precisely what it's like. It's like sometimes the aftershock can be, you know, almost as big as the main earthquake, and that's what it's going to be like for the divine masculine. It is like that right now. There's still tremors, and it's going to carry on for a little while. But the Lovers is what is clarifying the Seven of Swords, and it's very much about deception leaving and the truth really shining through, especially in this deck. There's no third party in this deck. It's you know, some people think that the Lovers is about a third party. I don't. He's going to have to make decisions, and it is a very important time for the divine masculine to make decisions, and I'm seeing a very strong likelihood, and no, I'm seeing that he makes the right decision. He makes the right decision, and he knows he's gonna, the fact that the divine feminine is his truth is gonna come to light for him. It's also about it's a card of Gemini, and Gemini rules Mercury, or Mercury rules Gemini, and Mercury is in retrograde right now. So especially because the Page of Swords is here as well, there is going to be communication for a lot of you, and deception leaving, truth coming through, justice, but it's not going to be easy. So let's leave it there for a moment. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope that you download the Isha Chants app. I hope you have a fantastic full moon today as well. Because this is an eclipse, I also want to tell you guys, it's very important that during the time of the eclipse, it's a wonderful time to meditate. So please, and also, especially if the eclipse is going to be visible where you are, so people in Europe, it's especially relevant to you guys. It's a wonderful day to fast, and tonight, try and check out the time for the eclipse is actually happening, and try and have an empty stomach. So don't eat anything for 4 hours before the eclipse, because it's not a good time to eat food. Basically, it's actually quite polluted. It's a time when there's a lot going on, like the moon is a portal and all sorts of stuff is happening. It's a tremendous possibility if you are a spiritually inclined person, especially if you already have, you know, established spiritual practices, do those. And it's a great time to cleanse your energies, etc. So use this time wisely. Have an absolutely blessed Guru Purnima, and may you get the guidance that you need. Don't waste this opportunity, guys. Okay, bye.